Hi, I'm Paul Clef for GuitarLessonsForBeginnersOnline.net. Today I'm going to talk to you about overcoming stage fright. If you're not familiar with stage fright or have not experienced it, stage fright really is when you play in front of people and you lock up or you get nervous to the point where your hands are shaking, you can barely put them on the guitar. This is very common, so if you've had some experience with this, don't feel bad about it. I've read many interviews with famous guitar players where they've talked about overcoming stage fright and what they had to do. Back when I was in college, when I was in music school, I was a classical guitar major, and one of the classes that we had to take, we had to perform every week. So I had to perform a classical guitar piece, which was nylon string acoustic guitar fingerstyle. Now at that point I had been playing electric guitar for quite a while, and I had played in bands and played in front of people and had no problem doing that at all. But when I got into this performance class where I had to play every week, the first time that I got in there, I sat down and started to play, and my hands were shaking. It was horrible, and I forgot what I had to play. I basically had to stop, and I couldn't continue my performance. It was terrible. It was crushing. It hurt my ego. It hurt everything that I thought I was as a guitar player. It damaged that, and I kind of lost confidence. Now looking back at that incident in music school, the difference was I was in an area that was not familiar to me. I had not been playing classical guitar that long at that point. I'd played guitar for a long time, like I said, but had not played classical guitar. So just being a few months into playing the classical guitar, I was not familiar enough with what I was doing. It was unnatural to me. So I had to change my approach and what I was doing with the classical guitar. Because what happens with stage fright effectively is rather than being able to focus on the performance of the music, you end up focusing on yourself, and you get all wrapped up in your head, and you're thinking about the audience, and you're thinking about how do I feel. This comes from not being familiar enough and comfortable enough with the material that you're playing. That's the basic crux of what causes stage fright. And I want to show you today some ways that you can prepare and overcome that so that you can get comfortable playing in front of people. Because when you are comfortable playing in front of people, it's the most awesome feeling in the world. Playing live or just playing in a situation in front of your friends, it's just an awesome feeling when you're playing well and you're into your performance and into the music. So today I'm going to show you how to overcome stage fright. The first step to overcoming stage fright begins long before you even get in front of people to play. It starts in the selection of the material that you're going to play in front of people. Initially, you're going to want to select simple songs that aren't difficult and work your way through them in your preparation so that when you do sit down to play in front of people, you're not playing material that's not familiar to you. So that's going to be step one, is selecting specific material so that when you do have the opportunity to play in front of people, you know exactly what it is you're going to play, and it's not going to be too technically difficult. And one of the things that I've learned in my music career is that it's not necessary to play technically difficult material in order to have fun or even impress people. Because what I've found is most non-musicians really don't know the difference between technically difficult music and non-technically difficult music. The average non-guitar player really doesn't know the difference in the technical skill between somebody, say, like Kurt Cobain from Nirvana and Eddie Van Halen. The non-musician looks at you as a musician, as a guitar player, and says, well, you're playing guitar and I'm not, so you must be good. So it's not necessary to play technically difficult material. So first of all, you're going to want to select some simple material that you can learn and get down and get comfortable with. Playing simple songs is a real good way to boost your confidence. So step two, now that you've selected some simple songs, we're going to want to break these down and have a great system for learning them so that you can get comfortable and confident with them. First off, you want to take your song and break it down into parts, a verse, chorus, bridge, so that you know how many parts there are to the song. Break it down into individual parts. A song can be very long, could be 5, 6, 7 minutes long, but when you break it down, you'll see that it's really just a few parts that get repeated over and over. So take the song, break it down into parts, figure out how many parts you need to learn in order to have the song. Once you've got it broken down into parts, practice these parts of the song individually. Now, more often than not, some of these parts are going to be easier than others, so you'll be able to work through the simpler parts first without as much effort. Figure out which parts of the song give you the most trouble, whether it's a chord change or a riff or whatever it is, and work those. Those are the parts that are going to need the work. So work on the song in individual parts, verse, chorus, bridge, whatever they are, and pay particular attention and give extra time to the parts of the song that are more difficult for you. Once you have these individual parts of the song learned, get to the point where you can put them in order and play through the entire song. Now, it's really important to practice playing the entire song. At this point, you don't need to play the song perfectly, but you need to get used to playing through the entire piece from start to finish. So first of all, learn the individual parts of the song. Second, practice playing those parts and putting together the entire song. Because when you go to play in front of people, if the only thing you've practiced is just, kind of individual parts of songs or beginnings, once you sit down and play in front of people, you don't even have the experience of having practiced the song in its entirety. So it's very important to practice getting through the entire arrangement of the song. Very early on, you want to do this while you're still perhaps even, practicing learning those individual parts. You want to get used to playing the song in its entirety. You can take other parts of your practice session where you go back and, work out the details or the difficult parts. But get used to playing the song in its entirety as quickly as you can. By that I don't mean by playing through the song fast, but as quickly in the progress of learning the song as you're learning the parts. Put them together in the order and practice playing all the way through the song. It's important to play through your mistakes as well as you're working through the entire song. Don't start over. When you're working on that part of your practice session where you're getting through the entire song, do not stop and start over. Practice getting through the song, because that's another thing that experienced and professional musicians do, is they learn to play through their mistakes. When you watch a band play live or watch musicians, we screw up, we make mistakes on stage, but you're not going to see the musician or the guitar player, at least I hope you don't see him go, you're not going to see him make a face. They're going to keep going. That's the cool thing about music is, we're creating art, but it's over time. And if I made a mistake here, doesn't matter, it's done. I'm into the next section of the song. So you have to learn to continue through the song. Practice playing through your mistakes, but note where the mistakes are in your practice session so that you can go back and work those parts of the song to get those parts down. This is the number one issue that I see with beginning and intermediate guitar players, is they learn parts of songs but don't learn songs all the way through. They may know 20, 30, 50, 100 songs where they might know the beginning or know a couple chords to it, but if you ask them to play an entire song, they can't do it. So you really need to practice. This is what will set you apart, and this is what turns you into a true musician, is being able to play a song all the way through, so that when someone asks you to play something, you can go, I can do that, and you know in your mind and your heart that you can because you've already practiced it like that. The third point in our preparation here is you want to record yourself often. You can use a video camera on your phone. You can use the voice memo feature on your phone. It doesn't have to be video, but video helps. As you record yourself, it comes very close to simulating what it's like to play in front of people, because you start to become aware of things that you wouldn't normally pay attention to. Kind of like we talked about mistakes. Things that you would normally just kind of play through and ignore, you're thinking in the back of your head, well, I'm recording myself, I want to do well, which is the same thought that we may have when we play in front of people, is I'm playing in front of people, I want to do this well, I want it to sound good. And recording yourself simulates that same feeling, so you become more aware of what your actual performance sounds like. Now, you don't have to record yourself every practice session, but I would recommend doing that probably at least every other practice session. Set up a camera or have somebody, hold your phone up and video yourself so that you can see and hear what you sound like while you're playing. You'll become more aware of what's going on. and it causes you to remember that I need to keep the focus on my performance. And the same issues that you would have playing in front of people, you're going to have playing in front of a camera, or when you're, just recording the audio. So it's a real good way to start training yourself to getting the feel of what it's going to be like playing in front of people. And it's harmless, because if you're recording yourself, nobody's there. So you don't have to worry about being embarrassed or anything like that. But it will help provide the training that you need, for getting through that entire song, like you're going to do when you play in front of people. So record yourself often, just to get that feel of playing in front of an audience, a simulated feel, and so that you can use it in your other practice sessions, so that you can go back and review those parts of the songs that may have given you trouble. Sometimes things that are easy to play when you're just practicing on your own, you may notice that you may be tensing up, or there's just certain parts of the songs that are difficult that trip you up. Those will become very, very apparent. So not only as an audience training tool, playing for the camera is an invaluable aid for yourself, so that you can go back and review the material and really know where your trouble spots are, so that you can emphasize those and work them out. The next step in preparation is to just try playing in front of what I would call a small, friendly audience, like your spouse or significant other or a sibling or a friend, maybe just one person. And maybe even while they're doing something else, maybe they're doing the dishes, and you can sit there and play for them, and you're going to feel like they're not focusing on you. They're still listening, but you don't need to feel like you're under the microscope. So just play in front of one or two people. Now this is after you've gone through all the other pieces of the process, where you've gone through the preparation part and learning the song and practicing it all the way through, where you've recorded yourself, and then after you record yourself, you go back and you work the parts that get you trouble. So the next part is to actually play in front of a small, friendly audience. So to summarize the preparation to play in front of people, number one, select specific material. Does not need to be technically difficult material. You want to be songs that you can get through. Number two, you want to take those songs and you want to break them down into parts. Verse, chorus, bridge. Learn those individual parts. And then once you are getting familiar, you don't have to have them perfect yet, but once you're getting familiar with those individual parts, practice playing through the entire arrangement. Now, third, you want to start video and audio recording yourself, probably at least every other practice session, so that you can simulate the feel of what it will be like to play in front of an audience. And then finally, find yourself a small, friendly audience, a friend, spouse, significant other, just one person, in a very informal setting, just so you can get used to playing in front of other people. Those are the 4 preparation steps. If you follow those steps, that's going to put you in a very good position so that you can be successful when you do go to play in front of an audience.